What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Verse. We got another awesome live stream today. As always, we got a lot of really cool projects coming on. We're going to dive into their utility. And as most of you guys know, Pulsechain is absolutely blowing up. And I have a really special live stream because I got an awesome developer that I've been following for a couple of years now. He done a lot of work on Binance Smart Chain. He's on Pulsechain, and he's also on a new developing layer one blockchain that's bringing interoperability to space. So I want to welcome to the stage one of my good friends, AJ. What's up, brother? How we doing, man?
Kris, what's up, brother? Happy to be here, man. Super stoked to finally be on the show. And yeah, man, I appreciate all your kind words. We've been building our asses off, bro. So now it's finally time to share it with the world.
Yeah, man. How do you feel about the bear market, man? This one felt like an eternity, dude.
I know, bro. It's been brutal. So I've been in crypto since 2024, and this is my third cycle. But this has by far been some of the worst we've seen. But I think with the eventual ETF approval and a lot of bullish signals for crypto, moving forward, I think we're primed perfectly for some really exciting stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And that's the crazy part about this bear market because everyone who stuck around, everyone who survived, everyone who especially built during this bear market, hats off to y'all because you're just literally and figuratively built different. So
For sure, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, and it's true. I mean, we're super passionate. Again, I've developed some incredible relationships with some of the best devs in the business. We have a great team behind us. Above all, we have an amazing community, and we may not get it right, every time, but as long as we keep building and driving for the future, then we can create great things for sure.
absolutely. Now, before we hop into Spark swapping a little bit in on L1 Dex, I'm really curious about your background. When you first came across my radar, you did some work with EMP money on Binance Smart Chain. So, what was that specific project, and what motivated you to first start it?
Yeah, no doubt. So I'll start even a little bit farther back. I've been entrepreneur and successful inside and outside of crypto. As you can probably tell as well, I'm in a wheelchair. I happen to be a quadriplegic, but I've never let that hold me back, and I use my brain power to create opportunities for myself. And so I've always been really fascinated with crypto because I feel like it is the great equalizer for financial freedom and utilizing technology to make the world better. And so that's what really originally drew me to crypto. And then obviously I stayed with the massive gains. But I never set out to be a project lead or developer. I grew into that. I saw what other projects were doing wrong, and I knew what we could do better. And so over the last 10 years, I've again, made these relationships with developers I trust that are here for actual building. And so we started our first dive on that with EMP Money, and EMP Money was a tomb fork or a seniorage protocol. But we saw some downfalls with that with the runaway inflation, and we learned a lot in terms of economics. And we're transitioning now into a new model called EMP Fusion, and that should be ready hopefully in the next few weeks. And then, the L1X and Sparkswap are the sister projects that make each individual project stronger together. So it's really about building an ecosystem, and it's focusing on real yield, where we're not a Ponzi-nomic model. We don't rely on new users to pay out old users. We just rely on volume and fees and rewards that are generated again through real yield. So that's kind of the background. But yeah, I'm happy to go into more. I know you're an avid follower, so you probably can tell a lot more too.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to build off some of those points you said, I actually work as an engineer, and one of the biggest ways I progress as an engineer is making mistakes and building on top of it. So, with what you did with EMP money, I was actually in it for a little bit. I absolutely love the Tomb Fork. Well, not the Tomb. Well, I love Tomb Finance. I didn't get too far deep in the Tomb Fork season because it got way too out of hand last.
For sure, man. They were running all over the place. But
Yeah.
yeah, and you bring up a really good point, Chris. We are very passionate about building on top of existing code. And we can build from the ground up. EMP Fusion is a completely unique concept. But like you said, it's about taking what has worked and what has failed and fixing what has failed to make a better result for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I would love to get into EMP Fusion on a future live stream, but the main thing I really want to get into now is Sparkswap because a lot of people are actually really excited about with what you're creating. So for those of us who don't know, what is Sparkswap and what is the main utility?
For sure. So we are a DEX on Pulsechain, and we started as just a regular AMM or yield farm. Again, taking the base idea from Goose Finance or some of the old, even PancakeSwap, the original AMMs, and we built on top of that. So originally, all of our LP was held with PulseX, and rather than having a reward token that is meant to be sold just like the Ink reward token and PulseX, we actually developed a secondary contract on top of the protocol that rewards users for staking their Spark token. So it gives a direct utility to Spark and rewards users in real yield from the protocol. So that contract is called Sparkler. And if you stake Spark in Sparkler, you actually become an owner of the protocol. And so you're getting real yield from the fees and the swaps that the protocol generates. And so that has had a major, it was a major turning point in this economic model where the reward token is actually much more valuable now. And we've seen it in the chart. I mean, yes, Spark has gone down with the price of Pulse, but compared to Ink or other reward tokens, it's really maintaining a very healthy range. And so, again, that was part of the basis. And now we're transitioning into full-fledged DEX, where we're actually hosting our own LP as well, and all the bridge fees and the swap fees, and we can talk about the bridge as well. But all of that feeds Sparkler, and we're rewarding an EMP. I'm sorry, Spark Pulse LP. So what happens is we're always providing buying pressure on Spark and PLS, which again we're OG hexagons and Pulse maxis. So we always want to support the Pulse ecosystem, and that is feeding again buying pressure on Pulse and Spark indefinitely. And so we have a lot of really unique mechanisms that make that ecosystem function.
Right, right. Now, let's just break down the rewards token part. Great explanation. Thank you for talking about the sparkler because the sparkler and the mechanics behind that are very, very unique compared to other things I've seen in the space. Now, basically, you have these liquidity pools, and you can go on to Sparkswap, and when you execute a swap, you basically go and use liquidity pools on PulseX to swap for the token, and then you receive the Spark token. Did I get that correct?
Yeah, so again, this is a something. There's two things here I want to say. So the first thing is we actually what is called rehypothecation. So we are able to take the LP pools that we have through PulseX and we rehypothecate that onto PulseX, which basically just means, and we never take custody of your tokens. It's all through trustless and decentralized code, but we're able to earn fees. So we're earning the Ink token as an LP provider, and we're getting a much bang for our buck because we're able to pool everybody's LP together. And so that is how we generate the majority of our rewards in the beginning. But even we've only been around about 3 months, and over the last month, we've started transitioning to our own LP. And so now we have actual SparkSwap DEX LP where able to build deep liquidity. And one of the really cool things is that the liquidity is actually better for Spark now on our own decks. Even though we do have some liquidity on PulseX still, but we're able to create arbitrage opportunities. And rather than these arbitrage bots that a lot of these big guys are running that extract value from the ecosystem and just feed their pockets. we're able to run these arbitrage bots to keep the value in the ecosystem. And then that is also rewarded to the token holders through Sparkler. So again, we're implementing very proven techniques in terms of yield generation, but rather than just getting all of our pockets filled, we use it to actually support the ecosystem.
Absolutely. And I really love your approach because the main utility behind the incentive token, I believe, is the inflation goes down every year. I believe it gets cut in half. And then with what you're doing with the Spark token, you have some really cool utility behind it. When I was looking into the Sparkler, you can stake it out and use the same similar concepts of like delay gratification that we see with Hex. And it's a really great way to get as much token removed from the market, add a lot of buy pressure to it, and have awesome fundamentals. So that's really cool.
For
Now,
sure. Yeah, no,
and
absolutely.
go
And
ahead.
just
Sorry.
to touch on that really quick. So yeah, it's very, very similar to the hex model where just like T shares, the amount that you stake the farther out, you can stake up to 10 years, which again in crypto that's an eternity. But it's this idea of a yield generating asset where yes, you could just sell Spark on the market right now, but that's a quick gain. Or you could stake it for up to 10 years and literally make 10, 20x over those 10 years,
Wow.
just from the fees alone. So again, and you brought up a great point too. The longer you're staked, it removes that spark from circulation. So it's essentially burning it, which really helps with the inflation. And we do have plans eventually to reduce, if not completely get rid of the inflation once we're able to do enough volume that the swap fees can pay LP providers rather than just a reward token. So we have a very strong game plan. And once we get rid of inflation on Spark, I mean, the sky is the limit, man, because then the only way to get Spark is to buy it. And that can do wonders for the ecosystem.
Absolutely. That was actually my next question, inflation and deflationary mechanics. So you already answered, what's going on with the inflation. So I'm assuming that the reason why there's so much inflation is to drive volume through Spark to incentivize more people to use that. Is that the main goal there before we switch the
It,
model?
Exactly, brother. So the double-edged sword of inflation, I mean, you have to have something that generates yield, and it works until it doesn't work. So you have to have a game plan for that transition. But in the beginning, yeah, it is more of an incentive. It's a billboard, so to speak, to get people involved, get people excited, and then really teach them the long-term mechanics of the protocol. And again, I mean, we want everybody to make money. It's we're all here to make money, but it's important on how you take profit as well. Because again, with Sparkler, another really cool mechanism is because you're rewarded in LP, you get Spark PLS LP from those stakes. You can just break the LP, keep the pulse as profit, and never have to sell a single Spark token ever. And you just put the Spark that you earn right back into Sparkler to continue that process. So yeah, again, no other protocols, or very few, have this mechanism where you can make profit without ever selling the native asset.
Absolutely. And that was one thing I absolutely love with how it's paired up with Pulse because one thing I learned from, the atropa and the PDI stuff. I don't want to get too much into it, but
For sure, yeah,
we talked a lot about liquidity pools, and one of the biggest things I learned is when you have a thick LP between one token and the blockchain token, when Pulse goes up, this is actually going to push the price of Spark up astronomically as well. So just having that already preset and giving that out as a reward, I think only benefits Spark Swap, especially when we see high appreciation behind the Pulse chain. So
yeah, 100%, brother. And again, I think people don't realize how important liquidity is. I mean, we have, I didn't look before the stream, but we have well over $1 million in liquidity on Spark alone, and that's just with PLS. So we have about another 300,000 of Spark DAI or SDAI, which is a stable token. But yeah, I mean, to your point, if Pulse, well, not if, but when Pulse does a 5, 10, 100x, then yeah, it drags the price of Spark up with it because of that deep, deep liquidity.
Absolutely. Now, getting into burns, when I was on the website, I saw a few tokens were being burned. Is there any deflationary mechanics in play currently?
Yeah, so right now a lot of our burns are manual. We've been burning at least 1,000 Spark a week, which doesn't sound like a lot, but over time it does add up. And we do have a few partner protocols. One of them is BattleBets, which is an online gaming platform that only uses Spark token to wager. And part of those wagers get burned, as well as another protocol called Eternal Reflection, ERSP, and they're burning part of the reflections of Spark as well. So, but eventually, part of our fees, once we're getting really good yield with Sparkler, the token price is healthy, then we will absolutely use some of the internal revenue to buy and burn Spark as well. Even in the short term, just to help with the inflation as much as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really cool that you'll have a game plan when it comes to taking Spark from inflationary to as close to deflationary as possible. Because
For sure.
I've seen so many protocols. Like the one I always like to talk about with people is Pancake Swap. 2020, they just turned the faucet on, man, and everywhere it went crazy. Everybody was throwing a party, and then right when the bear market came in, went whoop. So
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. And Casey, yeah, it's had a bit of a recovery now, but it's up to the guys at Cake whether they're gonna buy and burn. We want to make it actually part of the decentralized code, and eventually we will operate as a DAO as well. Um, Once we again get market adoption, we're doing millions of dollars in volume a day. Then we can really start putting in different aspects where the community can decide, what they want to happen. So we have to have a little bit of centralization in the beginning to get things up and running. But after that, it functions as itself. And what other opportunity do you have to own part of a DEX or a bridge? Spark gives you the opportunity, which is pretty incredible for sure.
absolutely. No, no, and I really like what you guys got on the roadmap. And the other thing I want to show is that if you guys come over here to Sparkswap, the main page, and I'll drop it down in the description below. They have a really cool graphic that comes in and talks about, how you can get into using create an LP, start farming, use the sparkler to take profit. They have some really awesome diagrams if you guys really want to take a look at it. And if you're a visual learner and not into like the technicals and the analytics. So I want to throw that out there for anyone viewing this.
Yeah,
N-
no doubt, brother. And this is a great one. We hold the infinite money generator. Obviously, that's a little tongue in cheek, but when you really think about it, it's pretty incredible how powerful it is. And that's what I was saying earlier about splitting your LP and just keeping Pulse as the profit. I mean, you can literally have a Pulse generating machine with Sparkler, and the APR right now is about 80%. Which again, that's real yield. That's not none of the inflation goes to Sparkler at all. Those are all from platform fees, and we're doing about $300,000 of volume a day right now. Imagine when we're doing $3 million a day in volume as Pulse grows and we expand the ecosystem. The APR in Sparkler could literally 10x, which is pretty incredible.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then on top of that, like you were saying earlier, liquidity is $1 million. So you're right on the money. So there's a
Yeah,
thick liquidity between Spark and Wrap Pulse. And the only other token that has that thick of a liquidity is between PDI and Atropa. So that's
for
pretty
sure.
impressive that you guys have that. Now, move on to the next thing I want to get into. You guys got a bridge, Arbitron, Binance Smart Chain. Believe it or not, Crypto Mischief actually covered you guys and talked about how you're using DAI where you can bridge from Arbitron to Pulsechain. So can you tell us a little bit about the bridge you guys are setting up and what other blockchains you plan on launching onto?
Yeah, Chris, absolutely, bro. So shout out to Richie, Crypto Mischief. We love him. He's been doing some great coverage for us. And yeah, we have one of the most powerful bridges. Again, I'm a little biased, but the best bridge on Pulse. And so a lot of you may know Richard Hart made an announcement recently in Christmas where he actually alluded to a Binance Smart Chain bridge. So I'd like to think that that was us and we're excited to be on his radar for sure. And with that, you know, his main goal, which is our main goal as well, is onboarding. And you know, with the main Ethereum to Pulse bridge, that really was the only on ramp. And with that, because the Ethereum gas fees are so high, you get absolutely crushed. And even with the fees, the native bridge is now zero fees. However, our bridge, even with fees, is cheaper than the free bridge. So that's pretty incredible when you really do the math behind it. And that is because, you know, you're paying 30 cents on BSC and Arbitrum rather than $30 on ETH. So it's up and running now. We are interoperable with BSC and Arbitrum. So with Arbitrum, it's USDC or USDEX, which is a collateralized version of USDC. And on BSC, we allow you to bridge EMP, DAI, ETH, a lot of options. And just yesterday, or 2 days ago rather, we made a really big announcement for the beginning of the year. And now we're able actually to even swap with the bridge. So you can bridge over, say, DAI from BSC and actually receive actual Pulse on Pulsechain. So not only is it a bridge, but it's also a cross-chain swap, and that will allow you to have gas on Pulse because a lot of people were having issues, you know, being new to Pulse, not having Pulse to even do any transactions. So this is really big for you know, use case, and we've been doing massive volume on the bridge already for sure.
That's huge. And some key points I want to add on there is number one, if you wanted to bridge Pulse over, you had to go through Ethereum and pay that gas fee and then unwrap it through the bridge. So you're already paying a little bit there. But the fact that you can actually do a cross chain swap from Arbitrum to Binance Smart Chain and save a lot of money, that is awesome. And the other thing
For sure.
I really like is Arbitrum layer 2. Everyone's attacking it, but the one thing that a lot of people are overlooking is the fact that they have one of the highest TVLs with layer 2 protocols. And also, I believe a team that you guys are working with, Dex Finance, they actually recently just moved over to Arbitrum. So,
Yeah, 100%. We're in bed with Dex Finance now. They're amazing guys. We have a great team. We're working hand in hand both on Spark and L1 Dex, which we can talk about at the end here. But yeah, and they have a full ecosystem with vaults and auto compounders and yields on Arbitrum as well. And yeah, I mean, if you still want exposure to Ethereum, um, but don't want to pay, you know, the exorbitant gas fees, Arbitrum is an amazing solution for sure. So we're hoping to continue to add more and more options as we go, and that plays into L1 Dex for sure.
oh, absolutely. And I think it was a very good strategy to do it from Arbitron because that's where I see a lot of the money moving over. They're not going over to well, Polygon has a few big corporations, but I see Arbitron and Metis. Those are going to be probably the top L2s in the next bull market, in my opinion. Now, as for future launches with bridges, are you guys planning on bridging to any other blockchains, or are you just sticking with Binance Smart Chain and Arbitron right now?
Yeah, so this is where it gets really exciting. And I know you've been doing a deep dive, Chris, on L1X. So
Right, right.
L1X is a layer zero or a new chain. And what makes it different is that it's its own virtual machine. So just like you know, Ethereum EVM virtual machines like Pulse and ETH and BSC, but you also have Rust-based you know blockchains like Solana. So now with Layer 1X, they're able to actually be interoperable with all chains. And they're actually even working on including Bitcoin network as well through the Lightning Network. So this is hopefully scheduled to launch by the end of the year. I'm sorry, by the end of the month. They're hoping to have it out by the end of the year, but they're a little bit behind. But everything's looking really good, and we're building the premier DEX on L1X as well. So that will be L1 DEX. And what happens is this is where it becomes really synergistic. We're able to actually bring all that interoperability over to Pulse because Sparkswap will be the Pulse side liquidity, and then L1 DEX will be the gateway from all the other chains to Pulse. So after the Bitcoin network is added, they're working on Pulse next. Hopefully, I don't have the official word, but it will happen within the first quarter of this year, hopefully. And then now we then transition to where L1 DEX and SparkSwap allow you to really swap from any chain onto Pulse. So that is going to be an incredible onboarding opportunity for sure.
Wow. That is awesome, dude. I don't know if you can see my face, but I'm actually truly
Yes.
impressed, man. And funny part about this was I put out a tweet about 2.5 months ago where I saw what you were doing with L1 Dex when I was researching L1X and the Dex you're building on top of it. And then I saw you guys at SparkSwap and I saw how they're doing the main 8 blockchains. And then I said, you know what? I think what AJ is trying to do is basically somehow include Sparkswap into the L1 Dex to make Pulsechain interoperable. And you just confirmed it right now, which is awesome, dude. That is huge.
Yeah, brother, you hit the nail on the head, man. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. So let's get into a little bit of let's discuss L1 next because I'm sure most people on this live stream have no clue what it is. And the best way to explain it, everyone's seen layer zero. Everybody sees the partnerships they're doing. They're setting up basically bridgeless technology. So you go from blockchain A to blockchain B. And this is just the watered down explanation. Essentially, L1X is a major competitor, but the one thing different is L1X actually has its own EVM, Ethereum virtual machine. You use it to launch smart contracts, build dApps, the whole 9 yards, all the stuff that you see. And so what L1X is doing is they're being a major competitor. Now, what I see with Layer Zero is they have a huge partnership with Circle, and they were actually threatening to turn off stablecoins at the Pulse Chain bridge. And so I see Layer Zero isolating Pulse Chain, and I see L1X building a gateway, opening up the Pulse Chain to the rest of these other blockchains. AJ, do you agree with my statement I just said?
Yeah, bro, 100%. I mean, we have a great relationship with L1X. Obviously, they're their own protocol and own team. We're just a contractor building the DEX, but 100%. I mean, we've told them from day one the power that Pulsechain has in the community and the really the gap in the market for people coming over. And you, Chris, you did a great job summarizing it. One thing that is really exciting about L1X for us is like you said, not only is it providing interoperability and cross-chain swaps, but because they have their own virtual machine, unlike Layer Zero, you're able to actually interact with smart contracts on different chains. So imagine, in our situation, imagine where you're able to have, be able to stake in Sparkler and communicate with Sparkler from, Solana or Binance Smart Chain without ever even having to bridge. So those are the kind of ideas that we're working through that we've never really seen before in crypto. It's not been possible before now. So 2024 is going to be a really big year in terms of technology moving forward, and we're also really heavy involved with the guys from Tetra. They're doing a lot of great work as well in terms of automation. And imagine being able to use their technology with the L1X technology to automate smart contract interactions on multiple chains. Again, it's unheard of. So we're really excited, man.
Dude, man, you guys are like the pioneers of space. Like, it's gonna take me a minute really to wrap my head around
It
this,
is,
but
bro. I'm still wrapping my head around it. I eat, breathe, and sleep it. So, and it's cool because we got to think outside the box now and really not be limited at all.
yeah, yeah, and I think the big thing I'm trying to highlight. You gave a really great explanation of how L1X works, and I think the big thing I'm trying to get across to not you specifically, but everyone watching this video and the entire Hex and Pulsechain community is Layer Zero is extremely VC funded. They do not like the Pulse chain, and they're not going to be as welcoming as what we see with L1X. And what I see with L1X is when it opens up the Pulse chain to these major blockchains that already have layer zero compatibility. This could also open up the Pulse chain from all the gatekeepers and really expand. And what I think makes Spark token so powerful is number one, you talked about how you want to go from inflationary to extremely close to deflationary, if not have a small inflation. And then number two, we got L1X launching at the end of this month, and you got L1 Dex. And so I can see a tremendous amount of volume running through Sparkswap, adding an insane amount of value to the Spark token, and Sparkswap being this gateway when it comes to cross-chain liquidity pools and onboarding new people into the Pulse chain. And that's what got me really excited when I did research on your project protocol, and it all just clicked and all just put it together because it's going to be like this one pivotal moment where I see your project doing extremely well. And I know you can't talk about price because you're a founder, and I don't want to get you in trouble, but overall, do you think that this interoperability component that Sparkswap is introduced into the Pulse chain going to really open up to the Pulse chain to the rest of the crypto space and possibly bring in adoption?
Yeah, brother, 100%. And again, you brought up a good point about gatekeeping. I mean, that is the reality of where we live and the world that we live in right now. And we have to do everything we can to combat that. And so, all of our code is decentralized. Yes, we do have some centralization in the emission rates and some of the key decisions that need to be made in the beginning, but we have that ethos of again, freedom of speech, freedom of code, letting people make their own choices, and we're going to be pioneers of that. And so, 100%. I can't speculate on price, but again, Spark will eventually be deflationary, and whether we do that through just eliminating the inflation altogether, or we just do massive buy and burns, all of that plays into the long-term growth of Spark. And we've only been around for like 3 months, and we are the number, well, depending on where you look at, we're the number two DEX on DEX Screener in terms of volume. Fux does a little more volume, but they're a
Mhm.
balancer pool setup, so they have a lot more, balancing of tokens, which leads to more volume. We're two or three with about 5 pairs. So put that into perspective, on the success. I mean, imagine when we have 100 pairs, we could be doing, upwards of what PulseX is doing, 8 million a day, if not more. And so once we have that sort of volume, then the fees take over, and really that is what will drive the ecosystem. And again, rather than us getting rich, I mean, you brought up PancakeSwap earlier. They're doing about $400,000 a day in fees. So just imagine, if we have a small, even a small percentage of that market share, the amount of volume and rewards we can be putting back into Spark as we grow, for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And all phenomenal points. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about L1 Dex because I'm truly fascinated by
Totally.
the L1X ecosystem. So with the L1 Dex, are you gonna have like a similar tokenomics setup to SparkSwap?
Yeah, so this is where again it gets exciting as well. One of the really unique things about L1 Dex that has never been done before is that we don't have a reward token in L1 Dex. We are going to reward people from day one with fees from the protocol. So the APR may be a little bit less than what you're used to, but it is going to be actual real revenue with zero inflation. And what is really exciting about that is we're rewarding users in L1X token. So imagine providing liquidity on ETH and earning ETH, or providing liquidity on BNB and earning BNB. Well, with L1 DEX, you're going to be providing liquidity and earning actual L1X, which is the gas token, and that will do wonders for the price of the actual token itself. So again, we're putting that buying pressure on L1X, which hopefully will increase the price and the APR in LPs.
Wow. That's truly impressive. And I think one thing I also want to put out there when AJ talks about real yield, this goes back to what Richard Hart talks about with Hex. It's when you're receiving yield in a token, does it actually have value? A lot of projects like to overinflate and it turns out there's not much value. But when AJ speaks about real yield, he's saying that the fees that are generated through the protocol come to you in a form of token that actually has value and doesn't depreciate, kind of like the US dollar. Bad
Totally.
analogy, but yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, totally, bro. And it is. Again, I think and people say, well, what would be the downfall? The only thing that would kill our ecosystems is if nobody uses them. But as long as there's volume, that is yield that is generated every single day without ever having to rely on, old new users paying out old users, which, we're so used to. People say DeFi, but really it's Podonomics, and we are real yield, real DeFi, and really a software company, generating a service for all of our users, and then rewarding those users as part owners of the protocol.
awesome. That's truly awesome. Now, the one thing I want to ask you about when it comes to doing, the interoperability swaps from one blockchain to another, try to figure out a way to explain this so not everyone's lost. But
Yeah, brother. Yes, we get in the weeds a little bit, but yeah,
yeah,
we'll
okay, yeah.
simplify it. Yeah, we'll simplify it. Go ahead.
Yeah, so basically you would have like the tokens at the bridge and you put them in like a yield farm and it's from two different blockchains. And so and if the tokens are in the bridge and you're earning real yield, then that allows you to go through and swap from one token to another. So for example, from Binance Smart Chain to Pulsechain, if you have a bunch of BNB in that bridge and a bunch of Pulse in that bridge, you can put BNB in and then Pulse out. Is that how that works?
Yeah, that was a pretty good explanation for sure. So yeah, there has to be liquidity on both sides of the fence, so to speak. So again, to your example, with Pulse and BNB, there has to be liquidity on the BNB side. Now we can tap into PancakeSwap or any of the big guys, because again, everything is not gate kept on that. We can just do it as a simple swap, but you have to have the liquidity. And so, what's important is that the hard part is getting Pulse side liquidity because, again, there isn't a lot of tokens on Pulse yet in terms of wrapped ETH or DAI, yes, but other tokens or wrapped versions of them. So Sparkswap will be essentially the partner DEX on Pulse. So now L1 DEX routes everything from Pulsechain through Sparkswap, which makes not only volume for Sparkswap, but also volume for L1 DEX. And you, as the user, all you care about is getting, your Pulse or your BNB in a safe and cheap manner. And so, yeah, all of that will be part of the equation.
Okay, I get it. I get it. So basically, Spark Swap's like step one, increase volume, use the inflation incentivize so people come over. And then step two, we get L1 Dex coming along. You add a new protocol feature, Spark Swap, to make it less inflationary. And so once those two pieces are connected, then you directly connect Pulse Chain into the L1X ecosystem.
Exactly, brother. Yep. And then, like you said, it can be interoperable with the top 8 chains and more. I mean, they're adding more and more to their roadmap as well. So, for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is impressive, man. Holy smokes.
Yeah,
Wow.
totally. Well, and
Yeah.
I mean, there are options now, where you have to send your funds to a wallet address and hope that you get the tokens on the other side. But with that, it's very centralized. You're basically praying that everything works. A lot of times it's been done manually, and if there's a problem, there is no way to look on chain. So with us, we're also bringing in that extra layer of transparency where you'll be able to see on chain, this interoperable swap happening in real time, and so that also helps make it a lot more safer as well.
Yeah, and just to build off with what you were saying, everyone always hears about these crypto hacks, and I don't like calling them hacks because 99% of them are through bridges where a hacker comes in and compromises the bridge, and they basically take the tokens out of the smart contract and run away with it. The one popular blockchain we hear a lot about is Solana. And surprisingly, they're blowing up. But I'm not gonna go out at it with them. But the point is, these bridges is where those hacks occur, and that's what gives the entire DeFi movement, cryptocurrency space, such a bad reputation because people don't look for context. People don't go in. And what I see with L1 Dex and L1X is you're basically creating interoperability without bridges and also eliminate the need for centralization. Do you think that's a fair statement?
Yeah, brother, and this is one of the major selling points. So just to recap, like you said, typically a bridge, you have to have a holding contract that has, the one for one balance of the tokens. And when you swap or when you bridge, one token is burned and the other token is minted. And so usually with these massive hacks, it's either the smart contract is hacked and it's stolen, or they get access to the minting keys and they're able to mint all these tokens and then drain the liquidity just by selling on the market. Well, with L1 DEX and L1X technology, there is no middleman. You're literally, there is no holding contract in between. You're just doing more of a swap, just like you would swap BNB for Doge or any native assets normally on a swapper, you're doing the same thing, only it's cross-chain. So again, it's hard to wrap your head around a little bit because it's not really been done before, but it makes it way more safer. And honestly, it's just a better technology. It's faster, it's cheaper, and it's safer.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing that I see here is opportunity, especially with when it comes to the cross chain liquidity pools. And we won't go too much into it, but there's an opportunity to make yield because there's going to be a need, especially when it comes to doing anything interoperable in the L1X network or on the Pulsechain side. Now, my next question I want to ask you, we have ERC20s being bridged over to the Pulsechain. Will you be able to do this through L1 Dex and Sparkswap?
Yeah, so no matter what, they are gonna have to be wrapped. Again, and this is gets kind of into the weeds with how L1X actually works. Um, but yeah, I mean, technically they are not an exact ERC20 on Pulse because it would be a PRC20. However, there is because of that instant swapping into the actual asset, it is essentially the native token. So you're not held to that third party risk as long as you're swapping between actual native tokens. So ETH, Matic, Solana, and not relying on another protocol that may have the minting keys. So yeah, and that's really important because especially with Bitcoin, through the L1 DEX and L1X technology, you'll actually be able to have native Bitcoin without having wrapped Bitcoin within your wallet. So there's a lot of really cool things. And there's also stuff that we're learning as we're continuing to build out with the L1X team and again, finding different ways to expand on the tech as well.
Yeah, and just to add what you said about, native Bitcoin, I don't think a lot of people really pick up on that because with wrap Bitcoin, there's actually admin keys to that contract.
For
And
sure.
so there's a middleman there. But having native Bitcoin, that's absolutely huge, especially when if we're going to onboard the Bitcoin bros, the Pulse chain. I think that's actually pretty impressive. Now, I want to get not too far deep into the connection to Bitcoin because I've been obsessed with BRC20s and I absolutely love the concept. And especially there's one developer that absolutely hates it that's getting railed for it right now. But what I'm seeing with BRC20s is they're basically doing like a token bridge where they launch a BRC20 on top of Bitcoin and then they launch something similar on top of Ethereum. Is L1X implementing a similar model to that, or well, what are they doing specific? Well, not specifically, but in general.
Yeah, no doubt. So again, I know that all the rage right now is the ordinals and BRC20, and I think it's a cool concept, but I think it's a cool concept on Bitcoin. I don't think now we're seeing inscriptions on Pulse and the same sort of technology on other chains, and it kind of defeats the purpose. So again, BRC20 is cool because it adds the DeFi element to Bitcoin, but we already have a lot of other options, on EVM chains. Essentially NFTs. I mean, that's what an NFT is, so to speak, or just minting of a new token on any of the other DeFi protocols. So I think each of them has their place. As far as L1X, that would probably be a better question for the L1X team. We haven't really talked a lot about their future plans in regards to that. But obviously, if we see, some value there or a need, I'm sure that we can implement any of that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I was curious, and yeah, I completely understand what you mean because that's something up to the team. Now, the other thing I wanted to ask you about, you said you guys are contracting with LNX to build their native decks. Is this through a research development fund? They're funding your group to build L1 decks?
Yeah, so we've been really again we have a very great relationship with them. We've been working with them for about 2 years now, and so yeah, we went through their incubator. They have their own foundation, and really, it's been amazing because we're able to given this golden opportunity to build purely because of our track record, and our capabilities. So it wasn't we haven't had any VC funding, and that's another thing. Even with Sparkswap, we never had a sacrifice phase. So all of this stuff has been done from the ground up. We bootstrapped everything. We've built amazing products on literally no VC or middleman money, and that really helps in the long term because then we're not beholden to angel investor that wants to dump on all of our heads. We're able to grow organically and reward all of our users in that growth.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing that I see from this conversation before we wrap it up, I see you guys starting off with a protocol, learned a lot of lessons, took those lessons, built on top of them, added a completely new utility to this entire space, open up Pulsechain to interoperability, and basically you're trying to go from somewhat centralized. I'm not saying like extremely centralized to a decentralized future that doesn't have VC funds, that's formed by the community, and trying to set it up so that Pulsechain could succeed in the future. So I really do commend all the work you do. Man, you're in like 3 projects, dude. I don't know how you do it, dude, but my hat's off to you, man, because you're absolute stud, dude.
Thank you, brother. Right on, Chris. Well, I appreciate your kind words. I know you've been following everything that we've done along the way, and now we have all the infrastructure in place, and now it's about getting the word out. So I really appreciate all your kind words. Your community has been amazing in helping us do that. And yeah, I mean, we're going to continue to crush it. We're just getting started. Like you said at the top of the show, I'd love to come back and do an overview of EMP Fusion when that's out as well. It's almost like Sparkler on steroids. So if you like the idea of Sparkler, you'll love EMP Fusion. And yeah, man, we're just gonna continue to ramp up the volume. Again, the Sparkswap bridge. Please, use it. It's fast. It's safe. It's cheap. I mean, most of our transactions are under 30 cents and take less than 2 minutes to complete. So really, really good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last thing I want to add before I want to talk about
Yeah, yeah,
a
for
few
sure.
comments, but also the last thing I want to add is you L1X isn't out yet. It's out at the end of this month, and this is just my personal opinion. I think this is going to be a blockchain that everyone should be looking at, and this is a blockchain that's going to be assisting Pulsechain. And you are in the fortunate position where you can educate yourself about this blockchain, and it's actually not that difficult to get into the project if you so choose to. Not financial advice. So the one thing I suggest is any of you guys are interested in what L1X is doing, well, actually, no. First off, check out Sparkswap because I absolutely love the protocol and they're building really great utility. But number two, check out what L1 Dex is doing and what L1X is because this could be potentially a phenomenal project you will be using in the future.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And again, you can find all the info on L1X in our socials as well. It does look like we have a lot going on with EMP, Spark, and L1X, but we call it the mothership because all three of those projects make each individual project even that much stronger. So, yeah, and again, not financial advice, but the L1X token, again, you can buy it even now and we're gonna be doing some more promos for leading up to the actual go live date as well.
Awesome. Good stuff. Now, RayoX, yeah, my comments doesn't work on here on StreamYard, so I gotta
Yeah,
look
no
at
worries.
that
Let's
over
take
on.
some questions or comments. Yeah, for sure.
So Rayo X want to say avid user Spark Bridge, great job, AJ. Um
Thank you, brother.
Zilly, Spark APR is always on fire. Good stuff.
Yeah, man. We on the native assets, we're still pushing 200% APR, which is just killer. And even on some of our other farms, I mean, we just added the ETH Dye farm, which is a very popular LP pool because you get exposure to ETH, and that's been paying incredibly well as well. So we have options for everybody.
Awesome. And then Jonathan Kampala, I'm sorry if I butcher your name. Yo yo, nice. AJ's the man. The sparkler is awesome.
Awesome, thank you, brother. Yes.
Cool. Crypto Babe, this has been so fire. Appreciate your support, Crypto Babe. Um, Invest DeFi Crypto. RH chops a stamp of approval on Spark Swap Bridge. Good work, AJ.
Yeah, so we're working on we have an audit already for the base code, but once the bridge is finished with some upgrades, we are going to be doing a full audit on the bridge as well. And you better believe I'm going to send that right to Richard Hart's gold-plated desk. So yeah, and we'll get the real approval. Yeah,
Awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff. Joe, Pulse needs a cross-chain bridge with big liquidity. So this is bullish. Won't have to use Ethereum ever again. Yeah, I agree, man.
for sure, bro. 100%.
Yeah, cool, cool, good stuff. And then last one. So Ray OX want to know, is L1 Dex launching this quarter?
Yeah, so we are again waiting on just some more key infrastructure from L1X because technically they're still in beta, even though the chain is live. And we've done some testing already, and everything is working. So we're just again having our ducks all in a row before we go live. But yeah, their goal is right at mainnet launch or very shortly after that. So by the end of the month is the goal.
Gotcha. Well, man, like I said, this is an awesome live stream. We gotta do this again, man, with your other projects, dude, because I
Yeah.
absolutely love talking to you, dude.
Yeah, you
So,
too, Chris. I know you, again, man, I've been an avid follower. We're in a lot of the same projects, even outside of our own projects. So, but yeah, man, it's been an absolute pleasure being here. And hopefully next time I'm not so sick, you can understand me a little better. But yeah, I appreciate you, man.
hey, man, hey, like I said, dude, you killed it today. Great explanation, and guys, please go check out AJ on Twitter. Please check out Sparkswap, check out L1 Dex, check out EMP Money. I have all the stuff down in the description below. Really great team. You got any questions? Hit them up on Telegram. All the stuff you need is there. And this is definitely one project I will keep on my watch list. So, like I said, AJ, it's been a pleasure, man.
All right, thanks, guys. Peace.
Peace.